This is Orion, Philippines. Between Balanga and Orion, actually. Oh, is it Abukai? Not Orion. Abukai. Beautiful landscape. I enjoy, it's like, it calms me looking at this. After looking at the news or observing events around me, it's good to take a walk and let my mind, or actually talk to myself about how it looks up there in the mountain and the clouds and all that. But anyway, what I want to invite you to talk about today is the summit that's going on in China. This is about to end soon, with the African leaders and the leaders of China, and there's some other countries there too, but China is the primary China is the one who set up the conference, and they're talking about the economic future of Africa and Africans. Not only how it's tied to China, but how it's tied to China and its partners in the BRICS, what is called the BRICS nations. Make no mistake about it, Russia is at the table, China is at the table, Brazil is at the table, even the UN is at the table. The UN has to be there because the Europeans are going to send somebody. The Caucasians are going to send somebody to report back and do analysis of what they think China is preparing to do in Africa, how long it's going to take, what they're going to do, and where. No, how to, but the focus is when, where, how, and they know why, because China building up the rest of the world, connecting the rest of the world, is something that the Caucasian never did. They always divided the world to profit. China is connecting the world to profit. And that is a threat. If you look at what the Caucasians did in Africa, you will see why what the Chinese are doing is a threat. The Chinese are sitting the Africans down at the table and they're making deals with Africa. It says we want to build a road across Africa from Senegal all the way to Ethiopia, from Congo all the way to Tanzania, from South Africa all the way to Egypt, from Congo all the way to Tunisia and Libya, We want to reshape or the lake that is now unusable. We want to reinvigorate it because we see that the weather pattern is changing, and pretty soon all of northwest Africa that is now desert is going to be a jungle, or what it might come out to be a jungle, but it's basically a savanna, and it's going to be producing what you see here. The trees that used to be there are going to come back, and other species are going to come in. Animals are going to come back. So it means that people are going to be there. And China is planning for that. Look what they did to China. The desert now in China is blooming. They're moving people from the cities, building cities in what used to be desert. Because it's going to be a benefit in the future. And you can either be with it or against it. And that's what's going to happen in Africa. So the European now, the Caucasian, cannot come to Africa and set up a system where you can't travel from one village to another village because there are no roads, Jack. You can't get across the river because there's no bridges. When our roads are in place, then there's going to be room for other business to come in. Villages that are going to need power. Because there's not going to be a grid. There's not going to be a grid, electrical grid in yet. So those villages need power. So you're going to have to put solar systems in, water systems in, sewer systems in to serve those village people. Now, people are going to come in from outside the village. Africans going to come back home to start farming in Africa instead of going to work on a farm in Italy and Spain and Portugal. Now, if you are involved in this conversation, what would you do as a diaspora? Where do you find your place in that? Are you going to come sit here and make videos talking about your big house and your swimming pool? Or are you going to get involved in putting in that sewer system, that water system? Are you going to involve in putting in the power grid in the village that you live in? Present a plan to the government. Say, look, we'll build the infrastructure and you give us the right to sell electricity to all the villages in the area. We want a guaranteed income, I don't know, $500,000 a year. I'm just throwing out a figure, you know, because you're not there to actually make a killing like the Caucasians will put it. You're not there to kill the people. You're there to make a little bit of money. You already have money. You're just, when you spend your money, you're just replenishing what you spent. And if you die, your children is going to be there to run this business that you created. What else can you do? Because you have the vision, you can see what China is doing, and you can say, well, you know what, China is now that wall that's keeping the Caucasian from coming and destroying things. So the Caucasian minions in Africa is going to lose their power. They're not going to be bribing me to put up the system. And the system is going to work. They're not going to be stressing me out like how they did in Nigeria with Dangote. They got enough, they stole enough from the government, but now they were trying to heist his money by putting all kind of obstacles in his way to keep him from supplying Nigeria with fuels and other chemicals and exporting them. See, it's going to give him a lot of power to do that. And then he and others like him are going to go all across Africa doing it. And these old men don't want somebody coming from Nigeria into their country and educating their people how to operate electrical grid, how to install water sewer system correctly. They don't want people being taught the rights that they should have to clean water, good hygiene, education, and food. The European pay them to keep them from doing this for their people. But now, there's a new man in town saying cooperation, not division. So what will your place be? You see it happening. If you don't see it happening now, if you listen to this video and you begin to say, wow, I didn't see all this happening, let me look at it. You don't have to work 24 hours a day. You bring somebody in your family from America or England, and the two of you form a corporation and you build together. You hire good people, even if you have to bring them in to Africa. And you can do that. You can find other diasporans who want to get away from the system in America while making money living in Africa without the stress. You can do that. There are people who want to move to Africa but are worried about the health care, the education for their children, making a little bit of money to survive. When I say survive, I mean to buy the things that their children need and they need. They want a car, a home, you know, food, a little piece of land that they can sit on and relax, watch the sunset or sunrise. But they've been kept from doing that. And then there's the African who leaves and go to the farms in Spain or the camps where they go live worse than they're living in Africa now because they can't leave the camps. And if they try to cross the border from Italy to Spain, they get treated like when the war in Ukraine started. We don't want you in Poland, go back to Ukraine. We don't want you here, go back to Ukraine. But the blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy can cross the border in safety, to escape to safety. So what do you want to do? Are you going to look at this and see what you can do? Or are you going to keep making YouTube videos for AdSense? Hope you're enjoying your day where you are. Peace.